let me first introduce the first speaker of the session, Dr. Mehrun Nisa Pathan. She is presently working as an associate professor in the Department of English, Dr. BAMU, Aurangabad, Maharashtra. She has more than 17 years of teaching as well as research experience. She has published nearly around 27 research papers in national as well as international journals, and she has also participated in around 87 national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, symposiums, and presented research papers. She is appointed as an external examiner by various universities. She is also on the editorial board for various national as well as international journals. She was the coordinator of the Micro Scholarship Language Access Program organized by USEFI USA. She has completed minor and major research projects sponsored by UGC as well as ICSSR New Delhi. Her areas of interest are post-colonial studies, resistance discourse, feminist discourse, English language teaching, critical theory, discourse studies, among others. Now, ma'am, I would request you to start this session. Ma'am, are you there? Are you available? Yes, okay, ma'am.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. A little louder, maybe?
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes. I need to share my screen.
Yes, ma'am. There's a present now button there at the below your screen. Can you see that?
Yeah. It will take 2 minutes.
There's a present now. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, your screen is showing. We can see your slides. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. The presentation is divided into 3 parts: a comprehensive understanding of the qualitative research. Second part deals with a case study, and the third part deals with actual implementation of research in the virtual world. I am immensely pleased to be a part of this 1-week faculty development program on research in virtual world. The definition of virtual is something that exists in the mind, exists in essence, but not in fact or created by computer.
Ma'am, just a second, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. Ma'am, your voice is a little low. Can you just increase your volume or maybe put your speaker near your mouth?
Yeah, it will do, ma'am. Now, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Ma'am. Thank you so
Hello?
much. Yes, ma'am. You're audible now.
Yes. Yeah. So, Cambridge Oxford Dictionary, it defines the term virtual, that is considered to be an adjective. Something that is virtual can be done or seen using a computer and therefore without going anywhere or talking to anyone. And if you take it in terms of noun, it is almost complete. Moving ahead, virtual research methods. Let me point out various virtual research methods. We do have cyber ethnography, online content analysis, online focus group, online interviews, online qualitative research, online questionnaires, web-based experiments, social network analysis. Now, further, we move on to the types of online qualitative research. There are 6 different types of qualitative research. First one is phenomenological model. Second is ethnographical model. Third is grounded theory. Then you have case study. So my interest would be in looking at qualitative research through a case study, historical model and narrative model. So grounded theory and ethnographic model, these 2 methods include one-to-one interviews, observational research, and open-ended surveys. Now the presentation, as I informed you, it is divided into 3 parts. The first part deals with comprehensive understanding. Yes?
Ma'am?
Yeah?
Excuse me, ma'am?
No,
Your
one
slides are
minute,
not
ma'am.
moving
I
ahead.
have not started with my slides. I'm just
Okay.
introducing my complete argue with. Yeah.
All right, perfect, ma'am.
So my
So,
presentation, okay, I'm dealing with that part of it right now, and then I will move with the slides. So the first part deals with comprehensive understanding of the term qualitative research. The second part, it deals with the application, and the third part deals with case study. So the two parts, that is the first and second part, I mean to say the second and third part, they are interconnected with each other, whereas the first part or the last part, basically the paper that I have selected of one of my students who has published his research paper. It is on influence of social media on EAFL, Yemeni learners in Indian universities during COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this article was published in the month of May 2020. The manuscript was submitted on 14th Feb 2020. It was revised again in the month of April, and finally it was been accepted for publication in the month of May 2020. Now, the researcher, as I mentioned, he is the student of our department, and he was the student of one of elective courses on English language teaching. So his interest made him to apply his knowledge and publish this article. You can log on to linkware.org and get the details. The point that I want to make here is how using a qualitative method, research method, or quantitative research method, results can be drawn. Now, the present study aims to scrutinize the efficiency of using social media on EFL Yemeni learners in Indian universities during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this research covers four social media, that is Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, WhatsApp. The research methodology that is used in this particular research is quantitative design using an online questionnaire. Now, the questionnaire was distributed online using a closed-ended questionnaire. We do have two types of questionnaires, like open-ended and closed-ended. So basically, the qualitative, we use the open-ended questionnaire. So it is a closed-ended questionnaire. Google Forms were exploited in this study. The findings indicated that learners spend more time using social media for learning the English language, and listening is the most improved skill when using social media for learning the English language. Now, results also indicated that using social media makes learners acquire and practice new vocabularies and decrease their spelling errors. Finally, YouTube is the most used social media platform for learning the English language. More research is needed to clarify the impact of other social media such as Snapchat, Instagram, WeChat, and so on and so forth on EFL learners. Further research is also recommended for investigating the impact of social media on e-skills separately. Now, as I earlier informed, that the presentation is divided into three parts. So I have already dealt with the third part of it. Now I would be moving on to the first and the second, because they are interconnected with each other. So let me move on with the
Ma'am, can you repeat?
presentation of my slides. Uh, Whenever we begin with, because I have been informed by Dr. Silvest that there is a mixed group. It's a mixed group, yeah, interdisciplinary from various fields. So I should be focusing it from a multidisciplinary point of view. So journey towards research. Now, what is it? We know that we are all faculty members and it's a faculty development program. So we need to think and reflect on any research, including master's and PhD work that was conducted in the past. Particularly, try to remember how you identified and determined the topic that you have investigated. Now, basically, when we talk about humanities and social sciences, we do have in humanities languages, literatures, and theories. So we do have the application of theories on language or literature or theories, so to say. Like if you are working in language, so we do have different areas in language that for our research. If you are doing it in literatures, then we do have ample of research, ample of literatures that have been available. Like you have the American literature or Caribbean literature or Canadian literature or African American literature or Indian writing or Indian English literatures for that matter. And theories, we know that there have been a lot of theories that have come from Aristotle to the present day. So we can take up any issue and start working on that. Now, formulating and clarifying the research topic. Starting point of research or a project or an article or a dissertation or thesis. So this is the most probably the most difficult and yet the most important part of any research project. This determines remaining aspects, including research approach, strategy for data collection, the kind of method, and the data analysis techniques. It is time consuming process, but one needs to take some time at this moment, less likely to achieve a successful project without spending enough time at this on this. So moving ahead with why and how in research. What does it mean? Research is like going on a journey that involves you a number of decisions. Now, what are these decisions? Why you choose a research topic, why you prefer one research strategy over another, how you deal with any problems that confront you during your research project. The introduction sets the research in a context, which provides a review of related research and develops the hypothesis for the research. Many of you have already started with this kind of journey because we are all faculty members. So almost all of us, we have started with this kind of a journey, either by writing a dissertation or by writing an MPhil dissertation or a PhD thesis. And now we are almost into writing the research papers or articles. Now, literature review, it depends upon kind of research undertaken. You need to explore various resources that are available, like say for instance Webster and Watson 2002, because it's from multidisciplinary perspective that I'm trying to put it over here. And let me also mention one important thing over here, that is this complete presentation, it is nothing but the outcome of uh, train the trainer program that I have attended in 2017. It was a short term training program on publishing research in high quality international journals. And this is nothing but it is the outcome. The whole presentation is the outcome of train the trainer program. And Dr. Vibhuti Tripathi, School of Management Studies, Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, Allahabad. She had dealt with this qualitative research through case study. So I have put in my own arguments, my own perspective in it, and I have tried to prepare this as a presentation. So Scoopus is available, WS or ABI, Inform, Procost, Google search is there. We do have in our university Shodh Ganga and various other sources, Web of Science and many more. When we talk about journals, we talk about a specific pattern of writing and research article. Like does Scopus has a particular pattern to write a research article, like the title of the article, the citation, the index journals, and moreover, when you are picking it up, so whether it is a author centric or a concept centric. Now one need to keep it in mind that there is an interconnectivity in the research. Now what is that interconnectivity? When you are developing your arguments, when you are writing the paragraphs, ideas and so on, so one needs to keep it in mind the tense that is being used while writing the dissertation, thesis or research article. Like when you are using present, use present tense, or if you are using past, you need to use it consistently. Now tense, what kind of a tense you need to use, you need to understand that and analyze it in writing. You need to accumulate, synthesize and analyze it. Method selection describes how the research is going to be conducted. Your method selection, you do have different types of methods. Now even creative writing is nothing, creative writing has been taken as a research method. Different methods have come up. So selection of method depends upon the kind of research work one has undertaken. Now literature review, there are different the issues when we talk about literature review, what and how. So why it is related with the theory like Prater and Todd. Again, moving further with data collection, we do have data collection, which is an important aspect of any research. Collection from where, and it again depends upon your research work. So again, when we talk about theory, it could be in a positive light or negative light. And when you talk about description and explanation, it is what and how of the theory. Um, we do have pediatric journals, and Roshan Morve yesterday, she talked to a great detail about these pediatric journals. So one should avoid publishing, like when we talk about the editorial board members, we need to see that whether it has a committee on publication ethics, ABCD journal list like 2016. You need to consider the journal style and requirements. Deceptive publishing should be avoided. Exploitative academic publishing business models should be avoided. Charges, they charge fees to the authors for publication. One should be aware of such publications. Now, when you talk about abstract, yesterday Roshan Morwe, she also talked about the abstract because it was a question that was being posed to her, and she said one should write the manuscript first and the abstract later on. But when we talk about a research article or a research paper, one need to keep it in mind that you are going to write the abstract first and then the research article. It depends upon the kind of research that you are taking as a project. So when you talk about an abstract, so it's a short summary of complete content, like not more than 150 to 300 words. It should include research questions examined and research and reasons for examining it, why it was considered important and relevant, how research was conducted, the key results, the key conclusions, and contributions. Now, structured versus unstructured, or it is called as non structured abstract. So, structured abstracts make use of some version of IMRD paper format, even when the article itself is not a report of original research. Unstructured abstracts are the traditional abstracts written as continuous paragraph, though they still cover the same information. Now, you need to write an initial draft at the start, but rewrite it at the end. Introduction should be written at the end. Research questions, aims, objectives, according to the research, should be framed. It should be timely, it should be relevant, and it should be novel. It should be original. Novel means it should be innovative, not something that has been already done and again the same thing has been repeated. So hypothesis is based on what, how, and why of your research. Now, literature review again. Hypothesis, scope and limitations of your research work should be mentioned, theory and probability and non-probability. Now, when we talk about methodology, one should keep it in mind the instrument ethical aspects, analysis. We should have a convenient sampling results. And when we talk about data collection, obviously the data collection is based on two types, like the cross survey and the direct survey. Now, moving ahead, what are the concerns and major issues? So, contribution, alignment, technical, when we talk about the empirics modeling, and one needs to be very specific. We need to keep the qualities in mind. What are different qualities that we talk about? Like we have the skills basically related with your language skills when we talk about the LSRW, and different skills for that matter. Again, personality trends, the abilities, the achievement, one's own knowledge before taking up any research, your perception, how you perceive that, and attitude is more important towards your research. Like it needs lot of decision making, lot of training, subjectivity, rationality, prone to criticism. Because many a time, why I gave you an example of the one of my student, I let me mention his name. His name is Altam. He has submitted the manuscript, but it has been going into revisions. So people, they are not prone to criticism. They need to be prone to criticism. Like, yes, it goes with a committee, and the committee suggests you. So when you need to go through those, you need to follow those suggestions, and you need to make the changes accordingly. No imminent chance of success, because it is laborious. It is the methodologically it is rigorous too. It is time consuming, it is lengthy, because it is not, you don't have an immediate chance of success. Like immediately you submit a paper and your paper is going to be published, because it goes with the reviews, and then later on with the suggestions you are going to make the changes, and then you get the research article published. Now, what are the stereotypes? There are various stereotypes that are being there, like restrict the researchers, challenging investigations are there. Sometimes it becomes so very difficult that the researcher feels like, no, I should leave the research now, and it becomes very difficult. So it is a challenging investigations that are being there. Research should not be biased, okay, nor it should be subjective. Research should be objective, even it should not be subjective. As I mentioned, research should not have stagnation. Like many a time, many people, they go on completing one chapter, and then they leave with the other chapters. Maybe some personal reasons are there, or other problems are there. So there should not be research stagnation. It should be in continuation, and it should not be too mechanical. A lot of decision making is needed at this moment. Moving further with qualitative study. What do you mean by qualitative study? It was in 2003. Denzin and Lincoln, they argued that qualitative method can be traced to 1920s and 1930s, which established its importance as qualitative inquiry for the study of human group, life, processes, and systems. Qualitative research is also viewed as an interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary, and sometimes counterdisciplinary field, as it cross cuts the humanities and social sciences, as it has been mentioned by Nelson, Pressure, and Grossberg. Then, what is a case study research? What do you mean by a case study? What exactly is meant by case study research? So, research through a case study means case study research is a methodology which can take either a qualitative or a quantitative approach. It doesn't mean that if you are taking a case study, you should always go with qualitative. It can be either qualitative or it can be a quantitative approach. So, in a qualitative approach, case study refers to the in depth analysis of single or small number of units. It may include a single person, a group of people, an organization, or an institution. Now, when we talk about qualitative research, it why we need to go with qualitative research? Because it produces observations that cannot be easily reduced to numbers, includes a range of data collection methods that includes field notes, one-to-one and focus group interviews, as well as some forms of content analysis and historical analysis, well suited for studying social process. How does this come about? Now, what are the goals of social research that are primarily answered using qualitative strategy? Giving voice, interpreting cultural and historical phenomena. Due to the fact that there are often many aspects involved in historical research, and because many of the materials are not specifically quantitative in nature, advancing new theories like inductive logic, it goes from a specific case to a general case. So, qualitative cases are often more in depth and give a fuller picture of phenomena than quantitative cases. Different categories that are being involved. Now, what are these categories? Naturalistic observation. We talk about ethnography. Now, ethnos and graphene. Ethnos and graphene means nations writing. Ethnos, graphene. So, ethnomethodology based on naturalistic observation, obviously. Surveys, like we have seen, there are two types of surveys. So, we do have case study in that as a category, focus group, field experiments, participatory action research. Now, what are the preliminary considerations of qualitative research? One need to keep it in mind that these are the preliminary considerations of qualitative research. There is no specified conventions for analyzing qualitative data in the way that exists for quantitative data. Like it can begin with any idea. Now, say for instance, if I take an example of the Tablighi Jamaat in India, like it was being said that due to the Tablighi Jamaat, the coronavirus has been spread and whatever has been talked about. So, what would be the grounds on which one needs to prove or one needs to get the data? So, how you are going to make it up? With the paper cuttings. It may start with the paper cuttings. It may get with the news that has been spread, and then you can come on with a judgment. So, no earlier judgment should be passed, and one can also go through the Honorable High Court's judgment in that regard. So I am giving as citing it as one of the examples. Need systematic approach to examining and interpreting the results of the data gathering. Preliminary and ongoing analysis should be engaged in as data is collected. Distinction, data collection and analysis left sharp for qualitative studies than for quantitative. Now, what are the common mistakes? There are common mistakes that are being committed. Data overload, too much to process and remember. I have here, I just want to cite one example. There was a researcher who collected more than 3,650. Uh, that was a data collection from various schools on one particular topic that was related with artificial, I think it was on emotional intelligence or something like that. So how it becomes a digestible data? It is indigestible data. So data should not be overloaded. It should not be too much to process and remember. Information availability, information which is difficult to get hold of gets less attention. Positive instances like a tendency to ignore evidence which conflicts with hypothesis. Uneven reliability, that some sources are more reliable than the others, yet they get ignored. So these are some common mistakes. Again, fictional base, tendency to compare with base or average when no base data is available. Confidence in judgment, like it was too earlier for a foreigner to comment on that. It was in academic discussion that was going on, and someone said that the corona spread in India because of the Muslims. So it was like we should not have a confidence in judgment, excessive confidence once judgment is being made. We should not be very eager to pass on a judgment. Co-occurrence interpreted as strong evidence of correlation. Inconsistency, repeated evaluations of the same data. When now moving ahead with why case study research, why we need to have a case study research. So the case study method is amongst the most flexible of research designs and is particularly useful in researching issues related to sustainability and institutional systems. It incorporates a number of data gathering strategies. What are these data gathering strategies? Document analysis, surveys, participant or non-participant observation, and participatory or action research. Now, case study research can serve a variety of functions. What are these functions that are being served? First, exploratory, enabling researchers to get a feeling for potentially important variables to describe phenomena in the appropriate contextual setting. Now, let me also mention about the various types of variables. Okay, what do you mean by variables? One variable, univariate, like you have the for instance, age, gender, or income. When we talk about two variables, they are bivariate, like again you have for instance gender and CGPA. When we talk about several variables, it is called as multivariate. We do have example of age, education, and prejudice. Univariate analysis is the analysis of a single variable, because univariate analysis does not involve relationships between two or more variables. Its purpose is more toward descriptive rather than exploratory. Now, discrete variable, a variable whose attributes are separate from one another. It is also known as qualitative variable. So, examples like marital status, gender, or nationality. Moving further, coming back to the point, for testing hypotheses or theories, or relating to cause and effect in a quasi experimental fashion. For policy analysis, teasing out prescriptions for action. Now, focuses of study. Case studies are classified according to the focus of study. Now, what it includes? This includes, it may include individuals, communities, social groups, organizations, and institutions. It may also include events, roles, relationships, and interactions. Now, what is a case? What do you mean by a case? So, a case is a factual description of events that actually happened at some point in the past or happening presently. It may be developed from a field study or from generalized experience or from published sources. As I mentioned, one of the examples, published sources could be anything. It could be newspaper, it could be research journals, or it could be any source for that matter. May present the technical, social, economic, political details of organization or the environment. It has a time structure and presents the sequence of events in terms of time. Like it avoids a description in terms of should, normally describes in terms of was. Sometimes technical notes, industry profiles are given as background material. Now, case study objective. What are the objectives of case study? It is most favorable. Why? Because to illustrate a theory and show it in a positive light. It is exceptional to validate or falsify a hypothesis by choosing a least favorable case. Critical case, using a case to show the limitations of previous theories and other factors that might be operating. Now, these are the different types of cases. What are the different types of cases? Problem or decision cases, appraisal cases, case histories, or teaching cases. Now, when we talk about problem or decision cases, what are they? Description of a situation or a problem, contains data and details relating to the situation requiring analysis and decision making. It is complex situation, like diverse problems are interwoven with each other. It relates to one or more functional areas. It relates to organization or phenomena as a whole. It is presented in various parts as sequential details of organization or situation. So every part is an independent case and can be analyzed or discussed, often used to deal with the whole course curriculum. What are appraisal cases? It involves appraisal situations without requiring decision making or recommendations for action. Maybe micro appraisal cases or macro appraisal cases. Now, what are micro appraisal cases? Now, micro appraisal cases involves human behavioral situation. It may involve interaction between union and management, between two workers, between worker and the supervisor. Now, macro appraisal cases, they deal with environmental or public issues. Now, case histories. What are they? They are finished stories of organizations giving environmental and other details relating to its objectives. Complete studies and do not require problem solving or decision making. Teaching cases depend upon the success failure stories, generally developed as pedagogical material or tool, and is of different types. Now, what are problem of case study research? What are the problems? Ideally, one should avoid studying an issue solely from the perspective of one stakeholder. Case study researchers are often guilty of two additional errors. This is the additional errors that are being committed by the case study researchers. As I already mentioned, indigestible data. One should have a digestible data when you are presenting it as a mass. Only presenting the conclusions without showing the logical inferences from the evidence that make those conclusions possible. So researchers should try to be both selective and systematic. Both. One should be selective as well as systematic. Now, what do you mean by triangulation? Let me give you one example over here. Like when we talk about the domestic violence, women are not going to come in front and they are going to talk about it so very easily. So triangulation is nothing but there are different kinds of triangulation, like ways of trapping the answers. So methodologically, different types of research methods are being there. As I gave you earlier, also examples. Like now, even you have autobiographical method is also there. There are so many different methods which have been coming up in English studies. Data, different types of data or replication. Investigator, using more than one investigator. I do remember that when I have completed one of my research projects, it was being sanctioned by ICSSR New Delhi, and I was the principal investigator. I had two more coordinators along with me. So I was the project director, and those two were the coordinators. And we have worked upon a project called as Digital Feminism, a study in Sanskrit, English, and Urdu literature. So we need to have more than one investigator. Now, theoretical, when we talk about theoretical, using different theoretical frameworks. So construct validity. What do you mean by construct validity? This is establishing correct operational measures for the things being studied. To meet the test of construct validity, an investigator must be sure to select the specific types of changes that are to be studied and demonstrate the selected measures of these changes to do indeed reflect the specific types of changes that have been selected. Now, construct validity again, there are number of strategies for ensuring construct validity. It should be valid, like using multiple sources of evidence to see if they converge, building a solid change of evidence, circulating a case study report to key informants for them to review for accuracy. Now, internal and external validity. What do you mean by that? Internal validity involves establishing a causal relationship between factors or variables. Causality is not the same as correlation. External validity involves establishing the domain to which one studies can be generalized. Unless one is studying a large number of cases, the ability to generalize is based on analytical and not statistical grounds. Internal and external validity, the same. Moving ahead, enhancing validity. How you can enhance the validity? Extend the time for observing the setting, include more participants to make the study more representative, focus upon building participants trust to access more detailed and honest data, identify biases and preferences, seek them out by asking others, work with another researcher and compare field notes and impressions from independent observations. After observations are completed, offer participants an opportunity to go through them. Then reliability. Reliability involves demonstrating that the operations of the study, such as data collection, procedures, can be repeated with the same results. Would a different researcher using the same method reach the same conclusions? So the conclusions may be, the conclusion should be the same. To allay concerns, one documents the steps undertaken and keeps proper records. For instance, transcribing interviews and explaining how one coded the results. However, no matter how linear one tries to be, there is always a certain amount of doubling back. So doubling back should be avoided. Now, treating the data. There are four key steps that one needs to keep it in mind while treating the data. Speculative analysis, data reduction, data display, drawing and verifying conclusion, because that is most important in qualitative research. Speculative analysis, ongoing throughout the data collection and confirmed through data transcription. Initial thoughts and reactions could be changed, recorded along with the actual situation or phenomena. Data reduction, reduce data to manageable and meaningful amounts. Reduction is not ignoring. We need not ignore the data, not we need to get rid of the data, but we need to reduce the data as a digestible one. Involves coding, categorizing of the data. Categories need to be exclusive. A code is a means of classifying events, actions, and ideas. A means is to develop an analytical framework. Now, what is theoretical sensitivity? Theoretical sensitivity is the ability to recognize what is important in the data and to give it a meaning, because data is nothing but you need to convert the data into knowledge. So the researcher's task is to collect data and convert it into knowledge. So data have its own meaning. So thorough understanding of theoretical and research literature and personal and professional experience. Continual interaction with the data is needed. Data reduction, when we talk about counting, categorizing data and measuring frequency, patterning, noting recurring patterns of themes, clustering like grouping of the objects, persons, activities, settings with similar characteristics. Factoring is like groupings of variables. I talked about variables into a small number of hypothetical factors. Relating variables, explaining the type of relationship between two variables, if any. Building causal networks, chain or webs of linkages between variables. Relating findings to general theoretical frameworks, or finding the general propositions that account for particular findings in the study. Now, data display. One should be very clear with the data display, like it should be very clear to the readers. There are two key ways: narrative text, that is the discussion of key themes or issues illustrated with the data, like you have the questionnaire or the quotation or the question and answers. You have visual presentation, for example, like the pie diagrams or the tables. Not either or can use a mixture. Now, drawing and verifying conclusions. It should be representatives of the sample. Don't overgeneralize. Your interpretation of events, strangulation of data collection, claiming things that are not there, present evidence from your data to support interpretation, like through the quotations of the observations. Now, conclusions. Admit limitations in data collection. So good qualitative research depends upon good analysis and not just good description. So one should keep it in mind that good qualitative research depends upon good analysis and it is not just a description. So case writing. What are the useful tips for writing a case? Follow an issue or a situation. Take up an organization or a department or a function. Use secondary information. Collect primary information. Be clear about the objectives regarding writing a case. What are when we talk about tentative synopsis, what do you mean by that? Work out a case lead. A tentative synopsis of a case, it should contain factual information, giving sufficient details to work on the alternatives and take a decision. Identity of organization or the people may be changed to maintain privacy. That is much needed. Organizational clearance be taken in advance. Like it may be any organization for that matter. So one need to take the clearance in advance. And there are four elements. Typical case structure, it involves four elements. What are they? Time, narration, exposition, plot. They combine to reflect the writer's style. Now, time means the chronology of events. What happened and when? You need to maintain the chronology. So, some cases begin with the statement of problem, that is the opportunity, and then move back in the time to show the problem aroused. So, important is like the case time structure should be obvious to the reader. Now, narration, the identity and sequence of topic used to tell the story, arrangement of headings and subheadings, transition sentences, paragraphs to link the events and different aspects. That's why I talked about the interconnectivity in the paragraph in the research. So, it is the flow, the continuity of the case. Exposition, the degree of depth and detail used to describe the topics in the case, includes industry composition and performance, organizational chart and job responsibilities, financial and other operational data like the summary of company strategy, aspects of problem, opportunity itself. Now, plot. How to design the plot? Design to create interest. You need to design a plot to create interest, produce drama and suspense, use of conversation, pictures, visuals to stimulate thought and analysis. Objective is to make the reader forget that the case is artificial. It should be seen as an immediate and real. Remember, a case is not a photographic snapshot of real life situation. Rather, it is a literary form. Now, here, one example has been taken up, and that was being taken up by Vibhuti ma'am when she has done the research on the Dettol as one of the products, okay, and the extensions of Dettol for that matter. That was the FMCG sector, and accordingly, they have tried to make qualitative research through taking this particular brand. So Dove and Dettol are being taken up. So I will be moving on to the actual qualitative research through a case study. So this was a case study that they made. So FMCG sector, according to Nielsen reports of 2012, fast moving consumer goods is the fourth largest sector in Indian economy and is expected to grow to $74 billion by the end of the year like 2018. That was long back that it was been done. So in the Indian FMCG industry represents nearly 2.5% of country's GDP. Items in this category are meant for frequent consumption, and they usually yield a high return. According to Nielsen reports of 2012, the FMCG industry of India in December 2011 showed growth of 10.8% and 10.7% in the urban and rural markets, respectively. So, the growth now rising income levels, increasing urbanization, strong rural demand, favorable demographic trends, and global consumer aspirations. FMCG sector has been further divided into three categories. Now, for the first one is household care, that is fabric care, 12%, others are 23%, personal care, 22%, food and beverages, 43%, and absolute and current growth. Personal care is the strongest category among the three. So, FMCG value and growth trends. And now we know because of the COVID-19, so there is a use, I mean to say, these products, they are being in much use now. So, the personal care category, PCP market in India is estimated to be worth USD $4 billion per annum. The personal hygiene occupies a major share in the sector, which is growing at 13% per annum. Changing lifestyles, increase in disposable incomes, greater product choice and availability. People are becoming more alert about personal grooming, and two brands of the personal care category, which have at least 5 extension and more having high recall and recognition in the market, have been taken for the study. Now, what do you mean by SAP Lab framework? The SAP Lab framework has been used to analyze the brand architecture strategies and the determinants of brand extension success. This method has two phases. One is SAP, the other one is LAP. So, situation, actor, processes, and LAP is learning, action, performance. Methodology of the case study, SAP Lab. So, case information observation, informations from website, secondary data, reports of SAP Lab analysis. Dettol brand of now this brand is been taken up. The brand Dettol was launched in India in 1933 as antiseptic liquid. Dettol antiseptic liquid was being used in hospitals and nursing homes for first aid and disinfectant, and is endorsed by Indian Medical Association. 90% of Dettol's consumption came from secondary usage situations: bathing, mopping, washing, and saving. It has been ranked first as the most trusted brand in the personal care segment and number two in the generic category by AC Nielsen. Um, Dettol has been now extended into nine extensions. Dettol has been consistently ranked amongst the top 10 most trusted brand of the country from 2000 to 2013 in a row. The brand architecture of RBIL is a house of brands where each brand like Harpic, Wheat, Vanish have separate identities. Dettol is one of the power brands of RBIL, which manufactures and markets a wide range of products in personal care. So, from 2009 to 13, market share of Dettol has increased from 4% to 9%. In 2009, Dettol at the eighth position in soaps, but by 13, it is at the third. Now, the firm derives close to 50% of its rupees 2000 crore turnover from Dettol. Now the source is also been given over here. Now what are actors? Actors, parent brand Dettol and the nine extensions. The parent brand Dettol antiseptic liquid's core degermification property has been the source of all extension. Dettol antiseptic liquid has strong, distinct associations with its trademark smell. Now, processes. Dettol has leveraged the parent brand equity by going for similar and dissimilar extensions. The company's brand architecture strategy has been able to establish relationships between brands and sub brands. They have promoted, communicated the positioning of Dettol consistently over the years, where consumers associate the brand with germ protection and hygiene. They have kept the brand alive with the help of promotion strategies, new packaging, events. Now, Dove, taking another brand of Hindustan Unilever. So, Dove includes skincare, hair care, and deodorants. Dove brand alone offers 23 body washes and 15 body bars, along with additional facial care, deodorant, lotion, and hair care products. Dove is among the 10 brands that contribute to 60% of Unilever annual sales from 25,810 crore in 2013. Dove is the fastest growing brand of HUL to reach 1,000 crore sales mark in 2 decades after its launch in 1993. Now, with the sales of rupees 100 crore in 2007, Dove has grown 10 times from 2007 to 12 as it transformed from a bathing bar launched in 1993 to virtually all new age categories such as conditioner, deodorants, hair oil, body and face wash. The source is given.
Ma'am, just a second. Ma'am, Mehrunisa ma'am, we
Yeah,
are running actually short of time. So
yeah,
if you
ma'am.
could, all
I have hardly one or two slides now left,
yes,
and I would be concluding in time, ma'am. No
yes,
problem.
and participants are requested to write their questions in the chat box so that they can clarify any doubts they have from ma'am.
Yes,
So
yes,
please
yes.
keep writing
I
your questions in
have
the
taken
chat
up
box.
Dove. So we do have a Dove that occupies a high shelf space with an array of extension in different product categories of personal care category. So the examples are being given over here. Then processes is been explained. Then learning. Now, what is the learning? Learning is brand extensions are a popular strategy in personal care category. The companies have identified the power brands, both Dettol and Dove, that have high brand strength and have leveraged the equity by going in for similar and dissimilar extensions. Success of brand extension needs to evoke feeling and judgment with the help of effective marketing strategy, which would ultimately lead to the brand resonance. Dettol and Dove has been extended to categories that are high on similarity with the parent brand, and this has made the transfer of associations easy for the parent brand to the extensions. The brand has changed its architecture from a house of brands to mixed brand architecture. This leads to clear identity in the minds of the consumers, and there is no confusion and overlapping of associations. So this is evaluated by Akers. Then you have the actions like the company may adopt a hybrid brand architecture, so and so forth. Various things that have been discussed, like the company should promote the extensions on strong associations of parent brand in case of similar extensions. So this is the performance. Like the companies commonly use a brand extension strategy to reduce launching cost and barriers. Then brand extension increase the revenue share, brand equity, and return on investment. Successful brand extensions make the parent brand even stronger. Consolidated brand architecture will reduce cannibalization and will result in high clarity in consumers' mind. The company will be able to command a high mind share of consumers. So I thank you all for giving me a patient listening. I would be sharing my uh, yes. Ha- So I
Thank you,
thank
ma'am.
you. Yeah, I thank you all for giving me a patient listening. Actually, Dr. Sylvester informed me because it is a we do have a multidisciplinary. The audience is a multidisciplinary audience. So I took it as a that particular train the trainer program presentation where I included my own views and ideas. Actually, it goes for 3 hours when I make my presentations in the class because the students are in front of me and I make it from the perspective of um, it may be from language or literature or from humanities or social sciences, depending upon the audience. I try to make my presentation, but I have been singularly pleased and honored to be the part of this faculty development program. And I thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. I thank Dr. Sylvest and Shobra, ma'am, and the complete team, the organizing team, for making me a part of this complete discourse on what you can say research in virtual. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your presentation and your insight into qualitative research. Now, I'd request the audience for their questions. I haven't seen any questions in the chat box. Anyone who wants to ask any questions?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, please
Is
ask.
it essential to present your data in a graphical or diagrammatical way in the research paper? I
It
mean to
depends.
say diagrams and graphs are compulsory for the research paper to
It
present
depends
your
upon.
data.
Yeah, it depends. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, your
Yes.
voice is low, but it is audible.
Yeah. So the thing is that if you it depends upon the requirement of your research. If your research requires that you need to represent it through pie diagrams or using the charts, so you have to show it and you have to present it in that manner. Like say for instance, if I am working, I'm not giving an example of a pie diagram over here. Say for instance, if I am working on Malala Yousafzai's I Am Malala. It is a particular text. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at post-feminist discourses in Malala Yousafzai's I Am Malala, I think I don't need any kind of a chart over here. I don't think I need any kind of a diagram over here. But definitely, if you are working upon, like one of my student, he has done. I gave you in the very beginning in my presentation the example of my student who has worked upon the EFL Yemeni learners through how they're improving their learning skills with the help of the uh, what you call as the social media. Yeah, that example I have cited. So he had to give a questionnaire. In the questionnaire he mentioned about whether they agree or they disagree, they strongly agree or strongly disagree, depending upon the kind of questionnaire that was being distributed. Like it was an close-ended questionnaire. So obviously, in such kinds of research, you have to give the pie diagrams, or through the graph you have to show the increase or the decrease, whatever, depending upon the research. So it purely depends upon your research.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Hope I have answered the question. Yeah.
Any more questions from the audience?
Yeah, in the chat
Okay,
box
ma'am.
there is a
Yes,
question in the
ma'am. Yes, from Jacqueline,
yeah.
Dr. Jacqueline. Yeah, what is the difference between Scopus Index journal, Scoop, I think it's Scopus Index journals and high impact factor journals in terms of the authenticity?
I think yesterday, Dr. Roshan Morve, to a great extent, she tried to focus upon this particular question, and she had tried to give the answer, like whether we need to go with the Scoopers journals or we need to go with the high impact factor journal. Now, from one academics to another academic, it differs. Yes, because it is not possible in humanities. We don't find many journals that have the high impact factor. There are very few journals that have the high impact factor, but in sciences we do have. Yes, in sciences it is there, but in and again it depends upon one country to another, that how you look at the journals, or how you look or how the academics, in the academics, how it is being seen when it comes to the publications of the articles in journals for that matter. But I would request, or I would rather suggest, that when the researchers, when they are publishing their articles, they need to see that they are not going with the fake, or what you can say, the low level journals for that matter. Like they don't have a peer reviewed system, or they are not going to go through the, or they are not going to follow the ethics of publications. Okay, simply they take the article, you need to pay the money, and your publication has been done. But my student, that's why I gave the example of the student, that he has to undergo so many revisions, and finally without paying a single money, his article was being accepted and published. So one needs to have patience. That is what I have mentioned throughout my presentation, that you need to keep patience. You need to, it is a rigorous, it is very difficult to get your publications done, but one should see that you follow the research ethics and go with the publication, whether it is impact factor, high impact factor journals, or whether they are the Scoopers index journals for that matter. And I think most of the questions that the audience may be having in their mind, so each and every question has an answer available on Google. So what is not been answered by Google may be answered by me right now. Yeah, so it's so very easy for that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.